Mike Babcock would not reveal his hand as to who would start in Game 1 against Norway either, as we welcome in Sportsnet hockey insider Chris Johnston. We saw Sidney Crosby centering a line with Kunitz and Carter, but that's a line combination that's going to shuffle and change throughout this tournament. Ultimately, they need to scratch 3 players for opening night. How do they come to that decision?
Well, this is a delicate one. You know, this has not been something that's had to happen in the past, Arash. You know, other than having 3 goaltenders at every Olympics, you've not carried extra forwards and defensemen. And I think the key thing for Mike Babcock and his coaching staff is to convey this to the guys themselves. Because based on what we know, it doesn't appear that any of them know. You know, they've had time to think about it. They're mulling it over. And we don't know yet. What we do know is this. Martin St. Louis, Matt Duchene, the 2 extra forwards skating today.
Yep.
One of those men likely not playing the first game against Norway. On the back end, it's down to PK Subban and Dan Hamhuis. And again, I don't think Mike Smith will be the 3rd goaltender. Those kind of the mix of the extra players, and they have to look at the different options. They're going to dress 13 forwards, 7D. It's not a traditional situation at all, and these guys got to swallow their pride. That's part of playing for Team Canada.
And Babcock said, look, we can make different moves for each game, and we're going to have a constant evaluation process day after day. Now, you have all these players arriving on one day from all points of the continent, and it's interesting in international competition how you have to gel so quickly. Jonathan Toews said, we have a lot of guys back from Vancouver. 4 years ago, it was a real quiet unit, not so much this time around. How do you build chemistry real quick?
It started right on that flight that you're talking about, actually. Sidney Crosby said that the Canadian guys kind of got together, and I think the same can be said for the other countries. And, you know, really it's just about spending time together. And there's some value here, clearly, that was sort of a younger team in Vancouver. I mean, the veteran guys have moved on, but the Crosbys, the Toews, they're now the leaders of this group. They were part of that. They were among the 11 that were there. Even Crosby himself says he feels more at ease now with this whole process. He knows what to expect from the Olympics. He knows more of these teammates. And I think, honestly, they're just going to hang out. There's almost no mystery to it. There's no secret formula. They're going to practice together. They're going to eat together. They're probably going to tell jokes together. And hopefully, eventually, in their case, they feel like a team.
And Ryan Getzlaf said, we're not going to many other Olympic events. We are going to be together. The Russian team was together at last on the ice for practice on Monday. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectations on that team. They're hosting this tournament on home ice. Vladislav Tretiak is entering the conversation. What do you make of what Alexander Ovechkin and company are up against these next 2 weeks?
Well, what was fascinating to me is that after Alexander Ovechkin arrived here, I have never seen him, in covering this guy 7-8 years, so relaxed. I mean, he was almost at ease with this thing, which could be trouble for everyone else if he's able to embrace this pressure. He says he likes when people are watching him. That means they're respecting him, they're taking him seriously, and I think he's in a very good place right now. As for his teammates, that remains to be seen. And this is going to be an event, a pressure cooker that they have never experienced, even Ovechkin himself. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, carrying the hopes of the nation, much like Canada was a few years ago. It's going to be fascinating. They're going to be the story of the tournament one way or the other, look at whether they crash out or find a way to ride the emotional high. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a crazy 2 weeks, as Ilya Kovalchuk said.
Pavel Datsyuk did not practice for the Russians on Monday, but both Ilya Kovalchuk and Mike Babcock believe that one of the best players on the planet will suit up for the Russians in the Olympic tournament. For Chris Johnston, Arash Madani, Sportsnet, Sochi.